Alrighty, guys, welcome into BCUT. I'm here with my co-host Blake, and we got a special guest, Darrick Minner, today. UFC featherweight. You're 25-11. 23 of those are finishes. 22 of those are submission finishes. You have a disgusting, nasty ground game. Welcome in, man. How we doing?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. Just finishing up camp.
Is this your 52nd fight overall? How many fights? Because 25-11 professionally, that's a lot of experience.
Yeah, I have 30. This is what we got. 36 pro. I had 14 amateurs, so this will be 51 altogether.
And you're only 30 years old, which is amazing. So you're just entering that prime of your career, and this will be your third UFC fight. So I think you're fresh.
Yeah, man. There's wear and tear on my body, but that's with anything. But I feel like, in my prime, I guess I feel like I'm entering a whole new realm of things with being with the team down here and being with James Krause. I think I'm finally hitting that upward spiral on making it fun again and learning and improving and enjoying the game, enjoying the process again.
And thanks for giving us kind of that last or one of those last words. You've been doing a lot of media, so we appreciate you coming on for sure.
Yeah, no problem, man.
You've when you got this fight, I know you were looking for a fight. When you got the name Charles Rosa, February 20th, the date and the name, how quickly did you jump on that?
I said yes.
Quickly?
Dude, I don't turn down fights, man. I do, like, now I have to. We were in actually Florida for one of my good buddies and my cornerman training partner Dakota Cochran's bare knuckle boxing fight. And my manager got the email, said we have Charles Rosa available February 20th, blah blah blah. And I said, hell yeah, because we almost got that matchup back in June, but I had to slow my roll down. I had to text James and be like, what do you think? Because now it's not my decision. I have a coach that makes those decisions for me now. So, but he was quick to say, of course, let's do it. We're going to whoop this dude.
So Darrick, what's kind of the difference? Obviously you were in a lot more control of taking care of your schedule, before you kind of entered into James's camp. And what is it like now, kind of having a coach that does advise you, hey, this is a good fight to take. Maybe we should train a little longer. What's the difference that you see? And do you like it? Is it weird for you to kind of have somebody now that advises you which fights to take?
Man, I just always take fights, and I'm just a vet of the game, but it's different because I have a guy that is leading the way, telling me what to do, how to do it, and that's the path to success. Before I was making all my decisions for myself. You can't do that with a fighter, man. It's hard because I'm a fighter first, and I will fight anybody on any given day, anytime. But it's also, I feel like we still will do that, and James knows that, but he just makes sure that I know what path to take, and he makes my schedule for me. He got me with a nutritionist. Like, we're definitely improving day by day on, the old school. I come from the old school background of I'll fight anybody at any time. So yeah.
You're the true definition of a fighter.
I was going to say, especially with the way you fight and your style of fighting. I mean, you're a start fast brawler, knock them dead, knock them right out the ring, right off the bat. And so that kind of style of fighting is something I feel like you don't see as much of in today's UFC or even in today's MMA fighting. So, coming from that background of like, hey man, I'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. It'd be in a parking lot of a Waffle House. I don't give a damn. So, coming from that background, and then now having a guy who is a veteran in the UFC as well with James Krause, really, how has he kind of coached you to be a little bit more particular and not obedient, but more, I guess, just more particular in what you're doing, and very, thinking about the forethought and afterthought of your decisions that you're making?
It's being smarter, man. It's being smarter in my decision making in fights, in the middle of fights. I feel like the biggest improvement of still learning now that I feel like I'm learning and improving is my fight IQ. I feel like that's something that James brings to the table so well, and the guys down here is just make sure that we are winning positions. We are beating people up before we submit them. We are making good decisions in fights. Sometimes I'll give up, position for submissions. Like I'll go for the choke, I'll go for the kill. But now it's more like make sure you got it, make sure you're going to finish it before you hit it. You know what I mean? So just like my last fight, I could have jumped it a little sooner, even though it was pretty quick, but we waited, boom, it was in, we're done. You know what I mean? So it's improving my fight IQ. That's the biggest thing. And I mean, yeah, it's gonna show off here come next week and then for future.
A little sooner. You ended them in 48 seconds. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there was a lot in that 48 seconds. So there was this little setup that I had to make sure my grip was right. I had to make sure I knew which side he was going to jump to. I just had to make sure everything was in position before it. But yeah, we really didn't get to see it there. But maybe we'll see it next weekend, or maybe I'll just go out there and it'll be a 50-second fight and we'll cash our checks. But either way, I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Do you feel like you've turned that corner with your skill set, that you've just evolved not one single aspect of your game, but you've evolved, a lot of your game? Do you feel like you've turned that corner?
Yeah. I feel like everything's improving now. I feel like whether my fight IQ, my stand up, making good decisions, my grappling, even my positions, my submissions, everything's improving and is continuing to improve. And that's what makes it fun again, and that's what makes it there. For a while, man, I was in a slump, man. I feel like I've improved more since I've been camping down here since August than I had in like the 4 years prior. So yeah, man, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. So with I saw TJ Laramie on Fight Pass, then I saw him on the Contender Series. They kind of hyped him up a little bit, and then I see Darrick Minner take him out in 48 seconds. And that's just it's a super credit to you in your ability, to get that fight done quickly on a prospect that you were the underdog in that fight. So that was a fun one to see.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. I was disrespected in that fight, man. I mean, and that's cool because he was good. He's beat some good guys. He showed up on the Contender Series, but that was a fight that we said yes right away to, because I mean, I'm game to fight anybody, and I know I could beat right now. I will fight anybody in the UFC, and I have a chance to win. No matter it's top 10, top 15. And now I'm just gonna keep climbing the ladder and picking these guys off, and I feel like I'm improving, and I'm gonna be one of the best in the world, and I feel like it's just gonna show more and more each fight.
Your submission game, like I said earlier, is nasty. It's disgusting. Your guillotine, especially, is, what you like, or your preference of choice. You're collecting necks out there. What I like to say.
No way. He's never hit the guillotine before.
But I mean,
catching necks and cashing checks, baby. That's what we do.
Is that the best part of your game? Is the ground?
Yeah, man. I mean, because yeah, but that's because I've been able to hit it and land it, and I've forced it and whatever. But now it's just gonna come even better because now my stand up is good, man. I'm telling people this, and whether it shows the next fight or the fight after that or whatever, I do have hands and I hit hard, and I feel like that's what forced the grappling the last fight, is because when I cracked him twice, with those, he was like, oh shit, and so. Yeah, man. I mean, obviously grappling and my submission game is great and is good and it's improving. But yeah, I mean, I feel like my transitions are what gets me to that point, whether it's, from the stand up to the ground and grappling to working on the fence to everything. I feel like that's where I thrive, is on the transition and the scrambles. And that's where I catch the majority of my submissions, because people can't keep up, and yeah, so that's, my ground is good, but my guillotine's good. But like, the thing is with the guillotine is, like, usually it comes from weird positions that people don't know. But I don't only have a guillotine, man. I have like 11 guillotines, but I have 22 submissions. So I have rear naked chokes, knee bars, everything between arm bars, triangles, all that stuff. So, and that's just improving. So we'll see what happens.
Darrick, do you think that because that you can pretty much hit a submission from, multiple different positions on the ground, do you think that that's what gives you so much confidence on your feet to be a little bit more, not necessarily wild, but to be a little bit more aggressive with the way you fight, because you are looking to knock somebody out quick, you are looking to come at them quick? But does that give you a little bit more confidence to say, hey, if they do take me down, I am comfortable off my back, I am comfortable in weird positions that maybe people wouldn't necessarily always be comfortable in, that we see fighters in the UFC start to panic sometimes when they get on their back and they're not as formidable off the back? Do you think that gives you more confidence in some of your aggressive striking?
Yeah, man, but I just like to fucking hit people. And I think that's a lot of the thing. Like, I just want to, once I get in there, I just want to fight, like all the preparation, all the whatever leading up to the fight, like I'm just ready to fight at that point. And I know I hit hard, and I know that people underestimate me. So once we go to the ground, like, I feel like, yeah, of course I can have that, I have that in my back pocket where, I can hit submission from anywhere, but like, I want to dominate each position, whether it's on our feet, whether it's the grappling, whether it's the ground. So like, it's not really like that I go out there just I don't know. I don't go out there just thinking, okay, if he takes me down, whatever, I just go in there ready to fight, because I feel like I'm an all around martial artist. And I feel like that,
Sure.
yeah, I just feel like I just want to fight, whether it's on our feet, the takedowns, the ground, whatever. I just feel like I can do it all. So I feel like I mix it up really well.
For sure. And in that Glory MMA camp, I know I've seen you training with Trey Ogden. I've seen you training with Gina. Lots of different guys in there that you can get different looks from. Is there a specific training partner that has given you the best looks, or do you take a little bit of everything from your training partners?
Man, I go with everybody. Obviously, that's the way we work. Grant, Kevin, some of the amateurs like Mo, and Isaac, and obviously Trey, Gina, Tim, James. We can go on and on about who's in there. And yeah, man, it's just a great room to be in. It's not even, I don't ever, have like a set, like, okay, I got to go with this guy to get this look. It's just, it's all around, like you got so many looks and you're just going to see everything. So it doesn't matter, who you go with in that room, that everybody is freaking improving and everybody is good. And whether it's the amateurs or it's, Grant and James who are, dominating the UFC, or, whoever, it doesn't matter. You got every which level and everybody is good in there.
Now, is that something that you've always done, is just say, hey, obviously you're one of these guys I'll fight anybody at any time. Now, going into training, is that something that you're used to, is saying, hey, I'll spar and kind of train with anybody? Or is that something that Glory kind of preaches and tries to ingrain into its fighters?
Yeah, man, every camp I've ever been, like every camp I've been to, like, because I've been to like 4 or 5 different camps, that I'll just go with anybody, man. I'm not, whether it's, whoever it is, like I'll just go in and spar or roll and do whatever, it doesn't matter, because, it's training, man. Like, you get good looks wherever. But I think that at Glory, everybody is just, you don't have really too many bad training partners, like at some camps I've seen, like, where people just fucking try to kill you and people try to do that. Well, you don't do that here. We're not trying to kill each other, like legit, like hurt each other. Some camps, they do that. So you don't have to be as careful on who you go with close to fight week,
Well, and that's something that you had actually brought up in previous interviews, is how Glory had been a lot different than other training camps you've mentioned American Top Team. Like, yeah, there's people that train with American Top Team, but that doesn't mean American Top Team trains together as a group. You've mentioned that Glory seems like more of a full-on team effect and a team training atmosphere, not little groups and little camps training at the same time. So how has that kind of changed your perspective, not only on the fight game, but also how Glory is coming up as a whole with you as one of the front runners, with Megan as one of the front runners, with James as one of the front runners, of being a completely different style of training camp and atmosphere?
Man, it's just it's more like a family, and that's what I just, know those big camps. I've never trained at like American Top Team or like the huge camps, but I just know that they train in groups. Like, like Rosa, my opponent next week, he's American Top Team, but he has his own like 4 training partners, and his coach that they're a branch of American Top Team wherever, or like it's just like a bunch of different little teams. Like here, it's like James is picky on who comes in. Like James doesn't welcome everybody, obviously, like we've seen the interviews on some of the guys he's turned down, but it's just more like a family. Like it's just a different atmosphere for sure. Like everybody's wanting to get better, everybody's improving, like everybody's not trying to freaking rip your ankle off or whatever. So I feel like that's the biggest key. Like you have to, it's James is building something special with building a different culture than a lot of gyms.
Yeah, and that gets you ready for that fight coming up February 20th with Charles Rosa. Have you gotten this far? What does a win do for Darrick Minner? You've said you've seen this fight play out where you can see yourself doing whatever you want, basically on the ground or on the feet. With Charles Rosa, has nowhere near the experience as you. Have you thought about what a win does for Darrick Minner in this fight?
Well, it puts money in my bank accounts, puts food on my girls' plates, and it catapults me in the line, man, and it seals my job for future fights, man. I'm in bigger fights. Charles Rosa, he goes on saying that I don't have, he's fought so much tougher opponents than me. He's fought this, fought that. Like, get out of here, man. Go look at my record. Like, I've been fighting all the top dudes on the locals, like LFA and all the local, that guys are catapulted to the UFC. I've been fighting those guys for, since 2013, like to get to the UFC. Now I'm fighting the same talent level as I just was. I don't feel like Charles Rosa isn't any better than when I fought Kevin Kroom outside the UFC. You know what I mean? Or like a lot of those guys outside the UFC. So, and Kevin would beat his ass. So, and I fought him in LFA. So, it is what it is. So, yeah, man, it's just gonna catapult my career that much more, and we'll see what comes next. I'm gonna go in there. I concentrate on February 20th. I'm gonna concentrate on beating Charles Rosa and getting my hand raised whatever way it takes, and we'll see what happens from there. I don't care who's next. I don't care what I have next. I'm just concentrating on getting paid on next weekend.
Yeah, we're excited to see you in there, of course. And you said you commute on the weekends or you go home on weekends. Where's that home for you, and how's that commute been for this camp especially, and just going back and seeing your family and everything?
Yeah, man, it's great. It's great being only 3 hours away, just because like I can, if anything happens, I got a 9-month-old, a 5-year-old, a girlfriend at home, and it's great to, I'm gone all week. I jet here Monday morning. I leave my house at 6:30 from Omaha. I get here at 9:30, 9:45 for practice at 10. I stay all week, and then I jet home either Friday afternoons or Saturday mornings after practice. And yeah, man, it's great to be this close. It sucks being away from my daughters for 5 days at a time, 6 days at a time every week, but it's the sacrifices that we all have to make to live out what I wanted to do my whole life and be where I want to be, and that's here right now, and that in the UFC and winning fights.
Darrick, any athlete that competes in any sport, really, whether it's NFL, whether it's MMA, whether it's, basketball, whatever, you're training, you're traveling, you're committing so much hours and time to your craft. It does take it can take a toll on the family. So what are some of the things that you do in your spare time when you do get to spend time with, you said you got a 9-month-old, you got a 5-year-old, you got a girlfriend at home. What are some of the things that you make sure that you do when you get back to your family side that really kind of keeps everything together? And what are some of the things that they have to understand and try to really help you with when you guys do get that time together?
And that's the big thing is like when you're in training camp, man, like everything, it's when even when I'm not traveling and if I was not traveling and I'm in training camp, like it's just a different type of atmosphere. Like I'm dieting, I'm cutting weight, like I'm only worried about the fight. Like I love spending time with, the kids and, my girlfriend, but it's hard, to get out of that mindset. So, whether we just take recently last weekend or the weekend before we took, our 5-year-old ice skating, and just little shit like that. We try to do like once a weekend just to get away and try to get our mindset switched because, it's tough, it's tough for everybody, but it's the sacrifices that we make to be great. And, it's a lot of sacrifices, but when we're in camp, we're in camp, and that's thing that hopefully in the future both my daughters will be like, okay, like this is what he did, this is hard work, this is dedication, this is sacrifices he makes, this is how you get to the levels of mastering your craft, as you would say, or being the best you can be, and the dedication and all that stuff. So it's also teaching them lessons that as they grow older, you know what I mean? Like they might not they're not understanding it now, of course. Obviously I got 9-month-old, she's definitely not her, but by the time she's old enough to understand it, she probably will only vaguely remember it because I'm not gonna be fighting for 10 more, I'm 30 years old, 6-7 years, and who knows. So she might not remember it all, but then she'll be like, why were you gone all the time? Kind of little things I'm sure that you remember.
Well, and before I kick it right back to Josh here, because I know he's got a couple good ones, but sticking with the last family aspect is, I think a lot of people, and I know plenty of people that look at the fight game and all they see is what they see on TV. They see the violence, they see the blood, and they get a weird concept of what it is, but they don't see the dedication, they don't see the training, they don't see the discipline, and then the lessons you learn from being a fighter. Is that something that you would as a parent, teach onto your kids? Is that something that you would, maybe encourage them if they wanted to get into maybe some form of jujitsu or wrestling or kick? But is that something that you would advocate for, or is that something you say, hey, that's my thing, that doesn't need to be their thing?
No, man, like I like after this camp, I plan on we were just actually talking about this. Me and Jordan is getting our 5-year-old into jiu-jitsu, just because, especially today's ages, they need to know that stuff. They need to, and you got to find what they like. Like she likes to wrestle, she likes to be, crazy. I feel like she would love to do that. But yeah, martial arts, wrestling, whatever, I definitely encourage, especially kids to get into. I'm a big believer in that. I've coached a lot of youth wrestling in my life, and yeah, man, and that just goes to show them, obviously now, like there's a difference, because you have to show them, like, they got to fall in love with it, man. Like they just got to fight, no matter what it is. Like, they got to fall in love with it. And that's the big thing. Like, too many parents you see try to live through their kids, and and it drives me insane. Like and I just I would never do that, no matter what it is. If I pop out a little boy and he doesn't want to wrestle, he hates it, like I'm not gonna allow, for instance, I have 2 little brothers and they both fight now, but my middle brother, he's 22 months younger than me, and he hated wrestling, absolutely freaking hated it growing up. But guess what? He started fighting 2.5 to 3 years ago, and now he's 2-1 as a professional fighter. You know what I mean? And he loves it. You know, it's just you can't force yourself that on anybody, because if we would have forced it on, my parents would have made him wrestle. Like, he probably wouldn't be fighting now. You know, he had to go through his own mental battles, his own path in life, and I think that's what you got to do with your kids.
100% agree with all of that. I was going to ask you about your brothers. It seems like on the weekends, I'll see you post a story and like, what's Darrick up to? Oh, he's at a fight. There's a Minner in there. So there's only two Minners, two other Minners?
Yeah, there's two others. I got a brother that is 28 and a brother that is 22 or 23. I think he's 23. I think he just turned 23. Yeah, man. And they both fight. Brady just fought, who's the middle brother. He's the 170 pounder. He's 6'4". He's the opposite of us. He's way taller. He just got his second pro victory. And then the littlest brother's still an amateur, getting ready to make his pro debut. So yeah, man. When I'm not in training camp, I'm coaching them in their training camps and doing all that. And I also do that on, Saturday mornings. I make sure that we get in work, because I can't be there during the week when I'm in camp.
That's awesome. And so you correctly predicted that Dustin Poirier was going to win against Conor McGregor. Unlike Blake here.
I was the odd man out, man. I thought I didn't think it was going to be quite what it was, but I did not have Poirier coming out with the victory, so that was a pleasant surprise. And honestly, after watching the fight, he had in my opinion, he had a perfect game plan. I hadn't seen somebody attack Conor's legs quite like I've seen Poirier do, so that was awesome to see.
Yeah, man, I think everybody at the gym picked McGregor to win too. I'm not sure. I mean, they did that little like video that post. I think I was the only one that took Poirier. So
true.
So I'm usually wrong. So I'm a better, and I usually don't get them right. So shit.
You guys in the Mystic Men? You guys do inter betting or anything? Do you guys take little wagers on the fights or anything?
Nah, not really. I mean, you can put in your parlays and stuff, but
for sure. Gotcha.
The Mystic Men. So I was gonna ask, do you have a prediction for Usman versus Burns at all this weekend?
I have Usman winning by decision.
Okay, interesting.
I want to hear Josh's. I don't want to hear Josh's answer as well, because that's a solid pick, and I think Josh is a Gilbert guy, so I want to hear what he's got.
Well, like when Poirier was announced, I had Poirier, so I'm a guy who, when it's announced, I kind of have a pick in mind and I stick with it. So that's when it was announced. I definitely had Gilbert, so I'll probably stick with it. But I'm definitely intrigued to watch.
I feel like so I feel like if in the first two, I feel like that's when Burns is going to be dangerous. I feel like if he's gonna win the fight, it's gonna be in the first first half of the rounds. If it goes past, midway through the second, or third, I feel like Usman's gonna win the fight.
Yes, and so your main event's Blades and Lewis, so that's gonna be a really fun one. But your teammate Julian Marquez is fighting this weekend. Are you excited to watch kind of the first of this snowballing effect of your teammates fight? Are you excited to watch Julian? Then it's you, then it's Kevin, then it's Megan, all you guys, FAC, all you guys.
Yeah, man, there's 8 guys in the UFC, like right off bop in this first quarter. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see Julian do work, man. I mean, he's got, that fight's going to be a banger, man. I'm excited for Julian. He's been off for, a couple, 2.5 years, some, injuries and shit he couldn't control. So yeah, man, he's been putting in the work. So it's going to be fun to watch it. Him start off our group of wins. I don't feel like anybody is going to be out. I feel like we're going to, sweep this. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. Blake, any final questions?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've done so much media and so many different questions. You're probably tired of hearing the same one. So we like to.
Oh man, I'm good with it.
Yeah, we like to switch it up a little bit. We like to have fun over here at BCUT. So, briefly touching on what was the first UFC fight you ever, or what was the first mixed martial arts experience you ever had that kind of got you into the sport? And 2, if you could fight any veteran throughout UFC's history, who would be the guy that you would want to fight the most of guys who no longer compete?
So my first experience with MMA would be, okay, I grew up with Anthony Smith, right? He was one of my good friends growing up. We went to middle school, high school together. He was fighting when we were in high school. He was taking fights, and I would go up and watch him fight. There would be like 3 or 4 of us. We'd go and watch him fight when I was like 15, 16. So that was really like what catapulted me to like UFC, start watching UFC, because I didn't really watch it too much before then. So yeah, that's pretty much my first experience with that. And then honestly, man, like I really like want to fight like a guy like I look up to, not really a guy like in history or anything, but like kind of like a guy like Frankie Edgar, like somebody like that.
Okay.
Not necessarily him, just because he got knocked out or whatever, but just somebody like that's made their impact in the sport where you've looked up to them for so long and they're standing across from you and you're like, this shit is real. This is what I fucking strive for. This is awesome. Like everything is just real at that moment. I feel like that would be the greatest satisfaction in the world, is just looking across somebody that was, a champion when you were an amateur or, whatever, like somebody like that. That's good. That's the goal, and I feel like eventually that'll happen with me. That surreal moment, that surreal fight.
So somebody who could really bring almost the reality of like, holy shit, I'm actually here. This is happening. I've watched this guy. Now I'm the guy who's everybody's going to be watching fight the guy that I watched. Almost more of a
like
of a surreal moment.
Like that surreal moment where like I fucking made it. Like that moment right there. I feel like, obviously at that, whatever, I just feel like them are the moments that you strive for and that you live for, are just them surreal moments that you're like, I fucking made it. This is my shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go beat up somebody that I looked up to type shit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Anthony Smith is one of those guys who's, has had a similar career to you, where they've had a lot of fights and then he's made it to the top. So, we could see the same happen for you. So that's definitely not a question.
Dude, it was crazy. I don't remember why we were even, like, he was like 22-9 when he got in the UFC, and I was like 24-10 or some shit. It was pretty crazy. That it was pretty close. So
yeah, well, we appreciate the time. I hope the family's all well. I hope your camp's going well, weight, everything like that. We're excited to watch you the 20th and against Charles Rosa. That's honestly a fun matchup. I really like it. So you're the true definition of a fighter, Darrick. We really appreciate having you on, talking about fights, everything like that, and giving us that last word. So
thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. So,
and then one last thing,
man, you were awesome.
You're a born winner. You're not a sinner. You might just eat Charles Rosa for dinner. Darrick, thank you.
Darrick Minner. Let's go.
Thank you, Darrick.